Hi, welcome back to the channel. So for those who know me, well, you probably know that I really like history. So yeah, so I obviously respect the roots of our foundations and just where generally like everything comes from, right? So you can see a lot of that in my crediting work in my previous videos. There we go. And obviously I like playing cards because I'm a magician and also a nerd. But yeah, so what if I combine both of them? Well, you get this series, right? So this series is essentially a way for me to talk about vintage or other print playing cards and discuss with you guys if they're worth buying, if you're a card handler or if you're a collector, right? So the deck that I'm going to be talking about today is this one, right? So to most people, this looks like just a normal deck of B playing cards, right? And you'd be right? This is just a normal one, so it's blue, and this is the one that I'm holding right now, which is brown, right? So, if you don't know, this is what a normal B playing card back looks like, right? It's just a nice diamond hatch pattern, right? But the moment that you turn this deck around is when you notice that is in fact not a B back playing card, right? This is in fact something else entirely. So let me take the deck out and I'll show you the design. So this is it, right? So you have two logos on a nice deep brown. So what is this deck? Well, this deck is called the Wynn Casino Playing Cards, right? So this deck that I have specifically is called the Brown Wynn Casino Playing Cards. Yeah, I know. But so yeah, so that's that's just the general introduction. So now let's dive into history, I guess. So in 2007, the Nevada Wynn Casino actually commissioned the United States Playing Card Company, so USPCC, to print some decks for them, right? They printed three colors, right? So obviously brown, and then there's violet, and then there's obviously red, right? So three colors. Brown is the rarest one. Violet and red are more common, but you know, yeah. So what happened was that basically the magicians discovered them, like the Jerry's Nuggets, right? So magicians like Chris Kenner and Dan and Dave discovered these decks and they're like, yep, these are the next Jerry's Nuggets, we can market the hell out of them and they feel good, so technically, yeah, let's just say like this is like a good deck of cards and everyone will be hyped around them. And yeah, they were right. These are like really hyped now. So the current price point, I'll put like an eBay listing over here, is like $100, right? So $100 for one deck of cards, which is insane, right? On Theory 11's website, you can see like traces of of when they actually sold it beforehand. They sold it for like $5, right? So that's like, it's 20 times the original price, so that's pretty insane, right? But yeah, so let's just talk about let's just talk about the design aspects, right? Because that's it for the history, right? So let's talk about the design aspects. So obviously I told you guys about the logo design, right? But I wanted to talk to you guys about the faces as well, right? So as you can see, the faces are actually all large, right? They're actually large faces. And obviously the reason for that is because on security cameras, you know that you can't cheat. But as far as I'm concerned, design-wise, all the brown ones have large faces. I know some violets and some reds have normal faces, but most of them are large as well. So let's get right up close with the deck, I guess. So the reason why cardists are actually looking for this deck isn't necessarily because they value like its history or whatever, right? That's more a collector's thing. But what's actually really interesting about this deck is that even though it has a completely normal finish, right? I'll take a I'll just zoom in a bit more for this. Right, so this deck has a completely normal finish, right? So this isn't like anything like bizarre like the Jerry's Nuggets, right? This is technically like just a normal cambric or air cushion finish, right? But what's really interesting is that they feel really different. That's the best way I can put it, right? So when you first take a deck out of the box, right, they actually spread and they actually fan beautifully, right? This deck doesn't do that. It does that for like the first 10 seconds or like the first 10 minutes, right? So I actually just got this deck today and look at what happens to the deck, right? So it's actually kind of clumpy. It's actually not really that even. It was actually clumpier before. But if I actually show you guys a Yo by Lee Asher, right, you can actually see all the sections separating, right? Which shouldn't happen for a normal deck of cards, right? So usually for a normal deck of cards, you need to break them in. And by breaking them in, I mean like doing like pressure moves or whatever, just so then that they stick better, right? They stick together better. But for these, they kind of just come out of the box sticking really well together, which is just the weirdest thing ever. So for example, if I did like cuts, right, you can see just how well these actually stay in blocks, which is just an interesting quality, right? But as far as I know, this is only like a Brown Wynn thing, because I know for the violet one and also for the red one, they actually handle differently from each other, right? So I think all three have different handlings. So if you're a collector or a cardist who's looking to try different handlings of playing cards, good luck, because it's gonna cost a lot. Right, so handling wise, this is a very unique deck that I think that you know, will appeal to cardists, mostly cardists, because for magicians, especially for me, I like to have the deck spread out and have them select a card. But if the cards are just gonna clump really badly, I just don't want to use them all that much, right, for Magic, right? Not to mention the price point, right? I actually got lucky with these. I'm not gonna tell you guys how much I got them for, but I can tell you that it was like at least like 2 times less than of what they're retailing for. So yeah, I got lucky with. I've mentioned how they clumped, and I've mentioned like their lifespan. I mean, lifespan wise, I think they'll last pretty long, especially if you're a packet cutter cardist. Right, so if you like to cut packets as a cardist, then I think that these will serve you really well. As a magician, they're a nice classy back design, but I don't think that you want to perform with a $100 deck of cards for audience members, especially because like they're always drinking or like their hands are sweaty or greasy, right? So you'll ruin these really fast. So ultimately, I think this is more of a collector's thing because well, it's $100. I don't know, it's hard to justify like a good feeling deck for $100, right? Unless you actually can't do moves without them, but it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, like they actually feel way better. I actually like them a lot more than I thought I would, but it's just like if you're just gonna try and hunt them down for 100, I don't think they're gonna be worth. That's because modern USPCC cards, USPCC cards just handle really well. So it's just, I don't think for $100 it's worth, right? These are also like 15 years old, right? There's cheaper cards that are older that like for historical value wise, that are just worth more, right? They're older and they also handle just generally better, right? So, well, better is subjective, but you get my point, right? So, historical value-wise, I don't think I can. For history, I don't think I would recommend it unless you're a casino deck, like collector, like specifically. So, history, it's whatever, right? Inflation, price resale, it went from $5 to $100 again. It's just, I don't know, it's just hard to recommend something that just inflated that much, right? And obviously feeling wise, it feels good, right? It's a good deck, but again, it's like modern USPCC decks, they handle just as well. So it's gonna be different, right? This feels different, but so I don't want to trick anyone. This does feel different from the other decks, but I just can't recommend something that's $100 for, you know, just for feeling wise, right? You won't get better at these instantly, right? You won't get better at cardistry instantly with these decks. So ultimately, I think this is just a collector's deck, or if you're just curious about playing cards, right? If you're just curious about how playing cards just feel, then I guess you can, you know, buy them. And if you have extra money to burn, I mean, I know I did, right? So yeah, but I think that's generally it. So generally, I would give it a verdict of, it's just not really worth. I don't know. I don't think but I think generally I wouldn't have like, I wouldn't. I wouldn't give a lot of playing cards like a worth anyways, because obviously they're playing cards. I don't want anyone spending like an excessive amount of money for playing cards. So unless you're a collector, then you should buy them, but otherwise don't. There's better decks out there with better designs. It's cool, right? It's nice, but yeah, it's whatever, right? But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope this helped in terms of feeling, right? So obviously they clump. Yeah, they clump interestingly. History-wise, obviously 15 years old at the Nevada Wynn Casino. Yeah. And so yeah, that's about it. I think that's that for whatever my budget worth it was. But yeah, see you guys next time. And I think I might review another deck of cards, but that's it for now. But yeah, see you guys next time.